Why, hello there, and happy Groundhog's Day to everybody.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi there. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about that winter storm warning that was upgraded overnight for every area near the lakeshore, including inland Ohio and Crawford County as well. And we're going to here to talk about it. We'll answer your questions, post your questions. We may not get them right away, but we'll try to answer everything that is going on. And apparently the Groundhog has said that there will be 6 more weeks of winter. All 3 of us already knew that.
Well, I mean, there are, 42 days until winter ends, so that's 6 weeks.
That's 6 weeks. I mean, they could have asked us and threw us a party. We could have crawled out of a hole. But
it's starting tomorrow, right?
What's that?
There'll be a party later this week.
Yes, maybe we'll have a party later this week. That's a secret right now. So let's talk about it.
Cake.
We've been talking all week long about how this storm was not only going to produce snow, but our concerns were other things like ice, sleet, and slickness, of course. That's going to cause some problems with drivers. Now, David, you've been on this morning, so you've been watching a lot of this stuff and obviously reporting on it. So tell us a little bit what is going on and what has changed since last night.
Well, really the only thing I've noticed that has changed is the fact that some of those areas away from the lakeshore that we thought were going to mix in more freezing rain and sleet may not mix in as much. And so these snow totals could be a little bit higher. So we're talking about out there into like Warren and Bradford. And I think even you last night, John, you kind of updated the snowfall forecast. And I kind of tweaked it just a little bit this morning. There wasn't a whole lot of significant change there. So I feel like so far our forecast has been coming together fairly well. Obviously, later today, we're going to wait for the rain showers and then eventually that changeover. And I think that changeover to snow, obviously, it's not going to accumulate right away because the ground is wet and still a little bit warmer. But as we continue through the night and then into Thursday, obviously, that's when the snow is just going to continue to rack up. So I didn't see any significant change other than I just don't see us mixing in as much of the other types of precipitation because the general track of this low seems to be a little bit farther to the south, which would bring the snow farther to the south.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of seeing last night, too. That's why I started raising some of those numbers out into Warren County as well. David, and Sarah, obviously you're following this too, but let's just, so David, show me necessarily what we're talking about there. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. You're right. We increased that snow coverage for Warren County, for northern Bradford, and out into Ashtabula counties as well, and kind of moved down that frozen precip and lower stuff out there. David, I don't know if you can show me quickly, but show me where the storm is now. How is it heading here and some of the timing.
All right, so here's a look at a satellite, and I can actually really zoom out very far. I mean, this is quite the impressive system. You can actually see snow all the way down into Texas here. Let me put on my pointer so we can get a geography lesson here. Please, no, I'm trying to find my pointer here. Here it is. So yeah, you can see, I mean, snow all the way from the Texas Panhandle right through Kansas, Missouri, into Chicago, Illinois, and obviously we're over here, and you can see rain just off to our west. And so obviously we're still on the warmer side of things. But then once the colder air comes in, we will see that transition to snow. And if you notice, one thing I'm sure you guys kind of notice here is that there's not a whole lot of pink in between. So it seems like that transition from rain to snow is fairly quick without a whole lot of extra mixed precipitation in between.
Yeah, that was one of our big concerns. Sarah, you've been tracking a little bit of this too. We started talking about it last weekend. What are your thoughts so far on this system?
Honestly, I think that at least since the weekend, the snow totals have definitely kind of trended downward because when we were looking at some of the models over the weekend, I was getting people like, so we're going to get 3 feet of snow. And it's not shaping up to be that at all, which I think is probably a good thing.
Yes, I remember you showing the model getting very excited.
I don't think excited was the right word. I think crying was the right word because I don't want to deal with this right now. If it's enough snow for me to lose Brody, it's too much snow. But so it's definitely been kind of like over the past, like the long-term trend for this system has been a little bit less snowy, which I think is a good thing. Especially since like we're kind of getting some of the snow gone today because today we're into the 40s. So that's kind of helping melt some stuff. But then once that temperature drops, that's kind of the concern, I think, because if there's any moisture still in the ground, it can freeze. We can see some maybe black ice in addition to the ice that could fall overnight and tomorrow.
Yeah, David, I'm sure you have something there, some bullet points. What are we expecting, and do we have a timing of this stuff? Because I know everybody wants to know, when is this going to happen? And I will say, while you're looking for that, the winter storm warning takes effect until not until 10 p.m., but we're going to see that rain before there, and we are expecting that transition tonight. So tell us about what you see there.
Yeah, so later today, there's been a lot of consistency showing some of those showers moving in during the middle of the afternoon and continuing into a part of the evening. Eventually, we'll get that changeover from rain to snow. I would say after about 9-10 o'clock for the lake shore, and then the snow will continue to expand east and southeast as the colder air continues to move on that way.
My fault. That's my fault. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're all good. I know you like to hear yourself talk.
Yes, I do.
on Thursday,
very few people can get away with saying that, David. You're lucky.
That's why I'm just kind of like.
Sarah's doing better.
I was just kidding. We all love John, right?
Especially John.
On Thursday, we got the snow, and we could have some heavy bouts from time to time. And it really looks like now, I mean, most of the area will be dealing with just the snow and not so much the mixed precipitation. Snow showers Thursday night into early Friday. We got some accumulations there as well. I can show you guys the latest run of our Futurecast here, and that also, it kind of goes along with what you saw in the text before. But you can see once we get in the afternoon, starting to see some of that rain. I'll kind of pull it along slowly here. And as we get into the evening, you can see Futurecast still by 11 o'clock has this mainly rain. I've seen some other models that say around like 9-10 o'clock. Sorry, John.
Yeah, I was going with 9-10 last night, but this is kind of a change a little bit. So that's fairly interesting. Let's continue to run this. So do we still see that lull Thursday morning before it intensifies later in the afternoon? No, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it may just be lighter. I mean, I've told people all this morning that you'll have some different intensities of snow. But you notice as we get to, actually, I'll back this up. We're at 11 a.m. Thursday. We're going to go back a little bit because I want to kind of point out the rain snow line. You can see that pink stripe right across the area. That's by 2 a.m. And so there's not a whole lot of pink there. Like I was saying before, we kind of go from rain to snow. We have a fairly easy transition there. And it kind of does make sense. And once we get in on the snow, you can see initially, I mean, we'll have some heavy bursts of snow. And so, I mean, we were all discussing before saying how we may be able to get, 2 to 4 inches of snow here in Erie on the overnight, but you can see areas further inland are going to have to wait a little bit longer just because the colder air will continue to expand towards the southeast. You can even see by 7 a.m. some spots on the edge of our viewing area, like out there in Duquesne, over towards Sheffield, Oil City, may not really have much snow on the ground as they're still making that transition over to snow.
Yeah. First, let me say hi to Alice, Adam Ripley, of course, who's a very loyal viewer, Kathy, Laura. If you're watching, please ask questions. We're here to answer them for you. And, of course, let's Alice wants us to send the snow back. That's kind of funny. It would be nice if we could. But Adam, it's a pretty good question. It says one forecast is saying higher snow totals towards the lake shore. What do you think about that? So this is probably more widespread than anything else, so it should be fairly even, right?
Yeah, I think there are going to be some spots with heavier snow, just like you always see with this kind of thing, where some spots might get like a little pocket of heavy snow, but it's not going to necessarily be like trending towards the lake shore, trending towards the inland areas, just because of kind of how widespread the system is. And then also, depending on like how long it takes, how wet the ground is, you could see less accumulation. If we get more rain in some spots, less cold air in some spots, you might get the same amount of snow falling, but you might have less on the ground. So it's kind of really one of those like kind of wait and see to see exactly who gets the most. But some models or some areas are definitely going to get more than others. Especially, I think the winds are still staying pretty strong, David. I don't know if you can pull up the winds, especially gusts, so we could have some issues with that as well. I know the past day or so, the winds have been pretty strong. I think today they're supposed to be gusting up to about 40-ish from the southeast before they change direction.
Yeah, I saw some higher wind gusts for today. Now, tomorrow I wasn't as impressed, at least looking at the weather model runs this morning. I wasn't as impressed with the potential for strong winds tomorrow, but here we go. Here's our Futurecast wind gust model. And yeah, you can see today, 25, 30 miles per hour. And then tomorrow, 25 or so. And I guess with it being a heavier snow, we may not have the kind of issue that we had with the MLK Day storm, but still, the snow will move around a bit. And certainly with gustier conditions and heavier snow, low visibility will be an issue from time to time.
I did want to address that. Sometimes we talk about a snow ratio. This is going to be heavy snow. As of last night, was looking at it, and this is going to cause some other issues. So we're still looking at this heavy, wet snow moving on in, a lot of moisture in the air. How's that going to affect people?
Well, obviously, when the snow is a little bit heavier, you get, especially initially, you get slush kind of build up on the roads because you've still got the water there, like Sarah was saying before, and then eventually that will kind of freeze up, and then the snow kind of accumulates on top of it. So we may be dealing with one of those cases where we do have some ice underneath the snow, and so that could make driving extra treacherous. And initially, it's that slushy stuff before we get into the day, and I don't think it's going to be a real heavy wet snow during the day, but it will certainly be heavier snow than what we dealt with from our last system. And then once we get into the evening hours, as temperatures get colder, I think we see more of that real fluffy stuff because temperatures will be colder, and so the snow is hypothetically, drier. From our last system. Mm-hmm. And then once we get into the evening hours, as temperatures get colder, I think we see more. Now I like to hear myself talk. Because temperatures will be colder, and so the snow is hypothetically, drier. From our last system. Mm-hmm. And then once we get into the evening hours, as temperatures get colder, I think we see more. Now I like to hear myself talk. Because temperatures will be
that's me. My bad. It's usually if people are watching, I'm usually not up at this time, so
hey, no,
my brain to my fingers clicking doesn't work quite well. Sarah, are you seeing anything that people should be concerned about as we head on into the storm?
Other than the main things that we've discussed, not so much. I think one thing that people should keep an eye out for, because obviously we're going to get cold again over the next several days, kind of into the weekend. So if there's any kind of slushy stuff now and then tomorrow that doesn't get cleared off, it could freeze a lot heavier. So that's something to keep an eye on, kind of keep up with the snow falling down so you don't have to do all of it at the end. And then also the fact that the temperatures are a little bit warmer today and yesterday, and then we got some rain coming through. We could see some changes in how stable the ice is out on Lake Erie or on ponds, especially for inland areas where the ponds might be a little bit less stable. So that's something to be very careful about if you are ice fishing or if you like to go ice skating on ponds near your house, the fact that they could be a little bit less icy.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Kathy Lockey says that she's going to zip line to work, so it might be a little bit easier for her to get to where she
I was going to have Brody pull me in a sled.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we got one at the station somewhere. Tim says, will a person be able to drive Thursday evening? He was supposed to be picked up by 5:30 for his birthday. Well, happy birthday, Tim. And yeah, so let's talk about those driving conditions. Let's talk about Thursday morning's driving, and then what are we talking about? Thursday afternoon driving. Is that going to be a problem during rush hour?
I think as we get towards Thursday evening, now I know the plows, they'll be out all day long, and keep in mind that this is not a lake effect event. When we have lake effect events, we have, some bands here and there. You can get real heavily focused totals in just a small area, but with this, it's going to be fairly widespread. And as long as, the crews are out taking care of the main roads, yeah, we're certainly going to have problems in those neighborhood roads, but towards the evening hours tomorrow, I can say if you don't have to go out, it's not the best idea to go out, but it is a work day. It's a school day. There will be lots of people out. So if you can safely navigate to the main roads, I think you'll be fine. I mean, of course, we live here in Northwest PA. We are seasoned to the snow. So I would say just monitor the plows. You can actually, if you go to the 511 PA site, you can actually see where the plows are. So that kind of gives you an idea of where they're hitting, the main roads they're getting to, because obviously it's going to take them longer to get to those secondary roads. So it's all based on their schedule.
Yeah, we say hi to Patricia. She says we are her favorite crew. Thank you very much, and good morning to you. Let's kind of just regroup here and start again. David, Sarah, and I are here to tell you about the winter storm that's going on. Overnight, the winter storm watch was upgraded to a winter storm warning. I'm not saying that I told you so, but if you watched last night, I thought this would happen during David's shift. It did. So this kind of means we have a heightened level of concern about the area. First, we were talking about, and this is what's interesting about weather. And I think Sarah and David, you'll agree and you can talk about it. A lot of people have these apps, and these apps tell you one thing. But again, you need people, forecasters, meteorologists, to interpret this and how it affects our area. And this is why this has been a very slow evolving forecast. It's been very complicated because we were waiting to see where that rain snow line was and how much freezing rain or sleet we were going to get into this. So basically, let's talk about the evolution of this forecast. We'll start with Sarah. Over the weekend, what were we seeing? And then we'll go to David and how we've refined that forecast for everybody today.
So as a general rule, I'll start off by saying that I try to avoid looking at snowfall totals for systems like this too far out, just because it changes so wildly. So over the weekend, I started getting messages from people like, hey, so we're going to get 3 feet of snow on Thursday. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot. And some of the models were saying that, some of them were saying a lot less. But because some of the apps were saying it, people were kind of starting to get a little bit nervous, starting to get a little bit panicky. And I was like, all right, we got to kind of take it slow on this one, because even with the MLK snow, 2 days before that snow hit, some of the models were saying 36 inches. So it can change so much over the course of 2 days that it's kind of important to, like John said, have someone that knows how meteorology works, knows the science of how the models work, and which models tend towards more snow, which tend towards less, to kind of look at the data and put it all together. But so over the past several days, it's luckily been kind of trending downward. We're not going to look at 36 inches. We're looking at maybe, I think, 12, the kind of 12-ish range from what we've been seeing. Not 12 feet, 12 inches to be specific. I don't want to cause any panic, but it's been one of those things where luckily I think the heaviest snow is not going to fall in our area, but that's also why you can't just look at an app a couple days out, decide that's the forecast, and then be done with it. You got to kind of follow the progression of these things.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point Sarah made. You look at we look at trends. We look at trends in weather models, because we're the forecasters, and like you said, John, I mean, we don't just look at weather models and say, hey, this is how it's going to be, because then what would be the purpose of us? I mean, we're here to, break down the models, understand what the models are thinking. And sometimes models say one thing and we disagree with it and we kind of go another way. But we also look at many models to see if there's a consensus. So there's obviously a lot of work here. And it seems like over the last 24 hours, models have come into a little bit more of an agreement that, yeah, I would say 12 inches is certainly a possibility for some parts of the area. Could be as low as 8. And into Western New York, have that area of 12 inches plus. And John, you and I were kind of talking about this yesterday. Could be just about, 13, 14 inches, which would just put it a little bit over a foot. And I wouldn't even be surprised if here in Erie County, we had a location or two that was able to get up to 13 inches. But
that'll probably Corey.
We want to keep the standard. We want to keep the standard right now about, 8 to 12.
Yeah, it'd probably be Corey getting the 13 inches.
No, Corey gets 13 feet.
Yeah, Corey always gets that. We love you, Corey, but we know that
we do.
We always get a little bit more snow. David, let's get back to the regional U.S. radar and Doppler max. And let's show people we're talking about a cold front. We're talking about a low. Why is this happening? And if people are going to be traveling regionally in the next 24, 36 hours, what are we looking for? What are they looking forward to or not looking forward to?
Yeah. I kind of turned on our winds here. It's very hard to see, but you can clearly see where the divide is between the rain and the snow right there. That is where we have the true cold front. And in this case, it's actually considered a stationary front because the front's not actually moving. The center of low pressure is like down here. And so it's just going to continue to basically move off to the northeast and eventually pull in some of that colder air. But we've got rain here, and then we've got it quickly turning over to snow as the atmosphere gets colder. And like Sarah was saying, I mean, the ice threat later tonight and then into early tomorrow, it's certainly real. Now, our saving grace here, I think, is the fact that temperatures don't plummet. I mean, they do get colder, but if we were going from like 35 down to 15, that would be a real concern about, dealing with significant icing. But I still think we'll be able to get some ice buildup on at least some of those untreated surfaces like walkways, and then the snow would build up after that. But you can also, another interesting thing to look at here, when we talk about like center of low pressures, which is where you have more of this circulation of the winds right here. You can kind of see near the center here, that's where we got some heavier snow. And so as the low kind of approaches us, that's where we're going to have some of the heavier snow. And as it kind of moves away, the snow will get a little bit lighter, but it will still persist into Thursday night. So like this area of the storm system is where we're going to really have to watch for some of the heavier snow as we do get into the day tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of in waves. You're right. There's going to be waves of intensity. So you might think letting up, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a wave. And again, we're talking about the heavy snow across the area. While people here, let's just give them a real quick snapshot of what we can look forward to after Thursday night, Friday morning. So obviously show the current 7-day, I guess, so that we can talk about what we're looking forward to and if we see anything in the next week.
Well, right now, yeah, we just have the big snow coming up on Thursday. By Friday, we may just have a few leftover flakes during the morning. I think if you see any real lingering snow showers, it would be into the mountains. Saturday, just a snow shower too. It's actually fairly quiet after Thursday, which is a good thing. One thing you'll notice, though, is that we don't warm up much. Once again, we're down the single number Saturday morning, only 34. That's the best we can do on Sunday. So winter continues, that's for sure. But it is definitely quieter, which is good news for us because those snow piles are very large. And that's the one good thing about having a little bit of a melt. It kind of melts those piles down, but they're still huge. It's going to be interesting to see how the city is able to move the snow around tomorrow.
Okay. Sorry, Mom is calling me as we're talking. All right, let's
just can't leave Mom hanging.
Yeah, no. We're almost done. So again, David, and I know Sarah. I'm asking David these questions because he's just been on shift all day. Can you show us?
Just woke up.
Yeah. So can you, David, show us the impacts? What are we going to see? What do people need to know as we head on in to tonight and tomorrow?
Sure. Let me.
And David, if you have the access to the ice accumulation graphic.
Yes, that's actually a very good idea. Let me grab that quick, and then I'll show you the impact graphic. Ice accumulation.
And while Dave's looking for that, just again, if you're watching, we're upgraded to a winter storm warning. It starts tonight, runs through early morning on Friday. We are expecting difficulty in traveling. This could be a pretty big issue. And voila, as I said that, David brings up the impacts.
Yeah, so this afternoon, it's going to be mainly rain showers. And another thing about the way the weather's been the last 24 hours, obviously it's been warmer. We've had a little bit of snow melt, but you add some rain on the top of that, and that can allow the snow melt to occur quicker. So we may have some really bigger puddles of water out there between the rain and the snow melt later on today. But it looks like we'll see the general turnover to snow by 10 o'clock. And again, like we've been saying, it could be just like that. We could go from rain, start to mix in a little bit of snow, and then boom, we've just got all snow just like that. So even though our Futurecast was showing at after midnight, I mean, some have said earlier, some have maybe, held it back a little bit, but nonetheless, we will have that turnover to snow. And it could be initially heavy, and then we'll have just periods of moderate to heavy snow as we go through the day on Thursday and then into Thursday nights.
I think the graphics might be frozen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm checking it online, and what I can see, it's still the Doppler max.
Yeah.
Really?
But it looks like the feed is still going.
That's weird because, I'm seeing everything's good on my side. Here.
Yeah. Well, we can still talk about it. Marty says I sound congested. This is early for me, Marty. I stay up to about 3-4 in the morning every day. So yeah. And Kathy says to stop touching everything. I'm not sure. I have a lot going on in front of me that you can't see. My coffee. I got my phone, and I'm trying to monitor the thing here. Sorry. So I'm just trying to.
It's also his house. He can touch whatever he wants.
Don't get me started in anyway, yes, the quote it is. We may get T-shirts made with that. It's my house. Sarah actually made me laugh really hard. That's funny. But anyway,
are the graphics moving on your side?
I see them on our screen, but I don't see them moving on the.
That's so weird.
We're moving, but the graphics not moving. So that's a digital Doug thing to deal with. But nonetheless, they can see what's happening. We do have rain coming into the area, and you can see that fine line, and David really did a good job. That's a fine line. It is either rain or it is snow, and that's kind of good news. We'd rather see that rain-snow transition than a rain-wintry mix, freezing rain, sleet transition to snow. So that's kind of good for us at this moment. So that is what's changed, and with that, our snow totals become more firm in the higher end, and that is why we have been elevated to a winter storm warning. So Tim Gust says, "Good one, Sarah."
And I think the watch is elsewhere. I know you guys in Warren County, McKean County, Mercer and Venango County. You guys will probably be upgraded to a winter storm warning, but we deal with 4 different National Weather Service offices. They're the ones who put the warnings out. We do not issue them. So we don't have any control of that. But I would say, just based on how things are setting up, that they'll likely, you guys who are still under a watch will likely go under a warning. I would say, maybe by the afternoon. But Sarah, I don't know if you can see this graphic. I have the future ice graphic here, and it's actually showing showing 0 for everybody. And I think it's because we make that transition from rain to a little rain snow mix and then snow.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's just the freezing of the rainwater and some of that snow melt that could, pose some problems even as the snow falls on top of that.
All right. Let's wrap this up. I think we've answered the questions that we're going to ask. Sarah, what do you want to say?
Please stay safe. Make sure that you don't overexert yourself. If you go out to shovel snow, take your time. Go out in shifts. Always seems to work best. We're going to see rain today. The snow's coming tomorrow. So today is the day to kind of be prepared for some snow. Make sure that if you don't like driving in snow, you're ready for that. If you don't mind several inches of snow, just kind of keep all that in mind. Whatever works best for you, be ready to do it.
David?
John, you've always made a good point about weather. It's your tolerance of it. You've always said snow tolerance and heat tolerance and cold tolerance. And obviously that's what we're looking at tomorrow. Now, for all of us, no matter how good your tires are or if you have four-wheel drive or not, it's still going to be tough traveling during parts of the day. And we know, as opposed to Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we've got kids in school tomorrow. So we'll have to see if schedules are altered. And if you're an organization, this is kind of a little advertisement here. If you're in an organization or a school and you're not in our crawl system, please send an email like this afternoon and not tomorrow morning when you have to put out that you're closed, because it makes it a lot more difficult for us. Just saying that. But if you're in our system, just make sure that, you give us the heads up. We have an automated system for some folks. So if you say there's going to be a 2-hour delay, we instantly get that and that goes right into our feed. So that's just a little heads up there. But yeah, in terms of this event, what makes it actually a little bit better to forecast is the fact that it is widespread. And I do like the fact that you can see the snow, sleet, freezing rain threat is a little bit farther to our south. But let's say you are traveling down to Pittsburgh, you have a concern with ice there. If you're traveling to Cleveland or Buffalo, you've got concerns. I mean, we're talking about winter storm warnings from Texas all the way up to Vermont. And you could go almost 2,000 miles and never leave a winter storm warning. So that's how expansive the system is. So it's not just here locally. If you have to travel afar, you're going to run into some problems tomorrow. So certainly, we always say it, and I know it sounds like it's redundant, but you got to give yourself some extra time.
Yeah, I know, and that's very important, especially if you're trying to brush off the car. Let me just recap here. A lot of people like to say, they talk about their apps. The only app that we use is the Erie News Now app, and we update that here. When is it good to salt the sidewalks? Probably before you go to bed, Marty. That's probably what I would do. Keith, what's the accumulation for tomorrow morning? We'll answer that one very quickly. David will do that. David already answered that. Good. So what are we looking at snow-wise for tomorrow morning? And then we'll close it up.
Well, I think I guess if you're saying through the morning, from the time we start seeing snow up until let's say 11 o'clock or something like that, we could certainly have, on the order of 6-7 inches of snow on the ground. There's that possibility. I mean, kind of looking to just cut that 8 to 12 in half. And we'll continue with more snow into the afternoon. Now the thing is, and we were kind of talking about this before, if the snow whitens up a little bit for part of the morning, which there is that possibility, I mean, you may be looking at, 5-6 inches of snow on the ground through about lunchtime or so, and then we'll continue to tack on more after that. So it's not going to be one of those deals where we get snow rates on the order of 2-3 inches per hour, but we will have moderate to heavy snow at times and low visibility.
All right, great. So hopefully, if you're just joining us, you can just watch this again. We've answered a lot of the questions of the stuff that we know now. We have a better handle on everything. It is Groundhog Day, and Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow, so 6 more weeks of winter. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay. I get so.
But he always sees a shadow. It seems like I think the stats say he always sees a shadow.
Yeah, 90% of his life. He's a very old prognosticator.
Yeah.
But anyway, we hope you stay safe. David will be on at noon and 12:30 for you, respectively, on Erie News Now. I'll be back in this evening. We'll update you on what's going on and the arrival of some of that rain and turning to snow tomorrow morning. And, of course, Sarah and David will do tag team weather for you to get you to work and possibly school on time. And, yes, just to add David's thing, it is very important if you do have an organization or school, if you do sign up for those school closings before the storm, because it's very difficult for us to enter you into
I can tell people panic, and all of a sudden I get all these emails requesting that their organization be added to the list. So
yeah, so just go over to just go to the Erie News Now weather page, and on the side you see school closings. You click on that. That's how you sign up. It's very easy. It's very simple. It really doesn't take long for you to do it. But when we get 20, a very quick story. I remember several years ago when Jeff Cornish was here, we literally had 200 people or organizations trying to get into our system. Register or sending us emails. In fact, Jeff Cornish had to come in and listen to about 50, 60 emails about, things are closing. So it's easy for us to do that. All right. I have nothing else to say. We look like the Brady Bunch. So David, look up. Sarah, look up. I'll look down. Look up.
Look over.
There you go. So there's our story of a lovely lady, morning meteorologist, and a big, chubby, tired guy. We'll talk later. See you guys.
I'm just barely more awake than you guys, believe it or not, even by this time of the day.
I've had my tea, so I'm good. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. You got Brody. You got Brody too.
I do have Brody, and he's been active.
And I have my bobblehead.
I have nothing interesting.
Goodbye.
I kind of want to show the Groundhog Day thing, but I don't think it's you. I think I made it for the morning show. I think it might be Brissa popping up.
You put it.
Let's see who is it. I altered it. It's Brissa. Yeah.
The Brissa meter.
So there we go. We went to Punxsutawney like 2 years ago.
Yes,
and so she always says how she couldn't stand how cold it was, and so a lot of people coming out of the ground.
All right, in TV we call this the long goodbye. So let's say goodbye, and we'll talk to you guys a little bit